Hi everyone, this is Christy with Paper Hoarder Disorder. This is video number 5 in our series for our decorating series for the boxed accordion 6x6 albums. And I wanted to go through, before we start our interactive pages, I wanted to show you the order that we're putting everything in. And as you can see, this one I used the blue snowflake on the top and the front. And I use the candy cane stripe on the front and the back, the peppermint. So on the inside, now if you have purchased one of the larger kits with the pattern paper, these will already be cut for you, but you will have to know they were in order when sent, hopefully. But I wanted to make sure you knew exactly what order I use them in. Of course, you can use them in order, any order that you prefer. So on here, you can see we have the plaid, the white with red and green plaid. And then we have the green star. And then we have the craft colored music sheet, the fa la la paper, the red that says Merry Christmas, the striped paper, and I used mine as a vertical stripe. This one is kind of a blue print here. I can't, I don't know what exactly that's called. But then we have the craft with white snowflakes. The one that is a star pattern, almost looks like a poinsettia. And then we have the red star. The off-white music sheet. And then the very last page is the wood grain. Okay, so this is the Noel version, and on the inside tags I have, okay, for what I used for the flips, the stamped flips here, I used the stripe, and I used and you can go ahead and group these together so that you know which ones get the flips and which ones get the booklets and which one get the double matting and which one get the lower pocket. So these are all of the ones that do the stamped flip up photo mats. So we've got the stripes, the light colored music sheet, and also the Merry Christmas. So there's those three there. And those are the 1st, 5th, and is it 9th pages when I put them in here. Okay, and for the next set, I used for the interactive booklets. And these spin out of the way. They're these right here. And then these have pulls back here, pull tags behind them. So on these, I use the wood grain, the green with stars, and the red with stars. And then you can also see the photo mats that I used here. The red polka dot, the holly, and then the stripes. And these stripes I used horizontal stripes. So we'll go ahead and put those back in. And those were pages 2, 6, and 10. And our next set on these was our lower pockets, our bottom pockets. And on here I used the fa la la with the blue snowflake. And I used the ornament stamp booklet. And then on this one I have the craft snowflake with the holly pocket and the We Wish You Merry Christmas tree. And on this one I have the white with red and green and blue plaid, another of the blue snowflake, And this one has the Warm Wishes This Christmas booklet. So these are pages 3, 7, and 11. So our last 4 pages on this one will be pages 4, 8, and 12. Now, of course, you can arrange these however you like, again. But this is how I put them in there, and I know a lot of people want to take away all the guesswork. So on this one, I use that kind of blueprint on here, whatever that one is, kind of a geometric, and with the double matting with a tag behind, and on that double matting, I use the red dot. On this one, I use the craft color music sheet with the holly. And this one, I use the poinsettia star with the horizontal green stripe. So again, this one is 4. This one is 8. And this one is 12. And on these, you can see I also added on the back of all of these, I added the craft color, which is not focusing in. And I did go ahead and ink the edges on these. So they are nice and substantial. So that covers the order of the papers for the Noel. So next, let's go ahead and do the Jolly version. Okay, so on this one, we use the Christmas tree on the front and on the top, and on the inside, on the front and back, I used this brown with kind of the raining stars, or stars on a wire, on the front and the back. And then on the inside here, let me go ahead and show you the sides first. Okay, so on this side, I used the white with stars and snowflakes. And then I used the vertical stripe. Third page is the tiny Christmas lights. Fourth page are the candy canes. The fifth is the mint green with tiny polka dots, tiny white polka dots. And then we have the gingerbread man, the white with red snowflakes, the white multi-flower print, the green with white polka dots, the ornaments, the multicolored ornaments, the red and white small print, and then we have the presents, the gifts. So on the inside here, on the inside of these, we have pages 1, 5, and 9. I use the polka dot, and then I use that red and white small print. And on the third page, I used the gingerbread man. And this one has a Christmas Marys, the all over Christmas print. And this one is the Christmas tree with the little buttons. So those are 1, 5, and 9. Or at least mine are. And then we also have pages 2, 6, and 10. And on these, I use the photo mats, the double photo mats that have the pullouts here. So this one is, let me let her out. Hold on. On this one, I used the mint green with white snowflakes with the polka dot on top. Excuse me. Then I used the star pattern with the vertical stripes. And then on this one, I used the white with red snowflakes and the mint green with white snowflakes on the top. So again, those are 2, 6, and 10. And then on, let's see, you have pages 3, 7, and 11. So these are our pockets, our lower pockets. On this one, we have the gift with the mint green and white dot. Kind of looks like snow. It's the larger dot. This one is the smaller dot. This is the mint green with tiny little dots. This one looks a little more like snow. They are larger white dots. On here we have the multi flower print. And on the bottom we have the little Christmas lights. And as I said before, this is the mint green with the tiny white polka dots. And this is the Christmas tree pattern down here. Now on here, in the booklets, I added the a Christmas tree, the ornament, and the warm wishes this Christmas on these. So I'm going to put those back in there. And then our fourth set here, pages 4, 8, and 12. Okay, so here we have the circle print, the circle pattern with the vertical stripe. And here we have the green and white snow print. It has the larger dots, the larger white dots, and then the polka dot, the multicolored polka dot on top. And then on this one, we have the candy cane with the mint green and snowflake on here. So that's the order of these. And again, these all have their craft back, and these are inked up. And again, it's not focusing. But it's a light inking, and for the ink, I used gathered twigs. And I think I just put that in the wrong position. There we go. Not that it really matters. Okay, and so that is the jelly. And let's see, so on this one, let me get rid of these tags, the plain tags. Let's see here. Let me get those out of there, and I will show you the base. Okay, so this is the hot cocoa version. And on the sides here, we used the tan with white and red plaid, the black with white trees, the gingerbread men, the black with white gifts, the craft with red and white trees, the red with white snowflakes, or falling snow, rather. This one is the peppermint swirls on black, craft with white snowflake, black and white plaid, craft and black wood grain, and this one is red, white, and black plaid. This one was on an angle, and it had a craft base. This one has a white base. And is not on an angle, it's on the square. And then we have the black with the little tiny white X's on there. So that is our sides. And for our tags, I haven't quite finished gluing these together. I wanted to show you, I've done 8 of the 12. And so I will show you how I do this. Now, I did not ink these because it has white in the paper. And often if it has white in the paper, then I don't worry about the core, the white core, because it's already got white in there, so it doesn't stand out. Completely up to you, though. Like, for example, this, but again, this one, it has white on it, so I wouldn't even do it. So what I'll do here is, let's see here. So on here, what I'm going to do is you can do a combination of, on a large tag area like this that is not, it doesn't have a lot of stress on it. You can do a combination of dry adhesive. So I'm putting 3 strips in the center. Let me show you that. So I'm putting 3 strips in the center. And then I'm going to come through, focus camera. Then I'm going to come through and I'm going to do, like I said, a combination of dry adhesive and the wet adhesive with the glue. And don't clog up on me. And then I'm just going to go around the edges. And this has about a 1/16 of an inch border. And again, a nice burnish will do you well to get that all set up well. Okay. So what I would recommend that you do is that you add just your pattern paper, and you do not add, if you did get the expansion pack, the complete kit with all of the interactives, which is what we're working on now. If you're working off of that kit, then I don't want you to put your craft on just yet, because there are the booklets. We need to attach those before we add our backs. So I recommend that you just do these first. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to finish these up. And again, we're going to add 3 quick strips. If you want to use score tape in here, you can do that as well. This will help minimize any kind of warping. You can see I'm putting this on upside down. It doesn't matter because it is non-directional at this point. So I'm not even worried about it. I'm not even looking. Again, a really nice burnish does you well here. We can put those aside. And, oops, we're going to do our dry adhesive. Trim it with our glue on the edges. And you have a little more room to kind of set this down when you're using glue on the edges, because it doesn't, the adhesive doesn't touch down until the center. So you can shift a little bit, whereas you can't shift with the score tape. Where it touches is where it wants to be put down. Okay, so there's that, and our last one here. This one down. All right. Now on some of these I had already done some of the craft backing on, I think, just 3 of these. And go ahead and open up your pack, your expansion pack, and go ahead and you can pull all this out, and I will, it's probably not a bad idea to go ahead and sort through this. You should have a dozen of these die cut pieces here. For our labels, you will have 3 sizes, or I'm sorry, there's 3 of these punched binding strips. 2 are 1 size and 1 is longer. I think there's 2 3.5s and 1 4-inch. Then we have a few pattern pieces. These are our lower pockets, which are all the Java page, like I like to call it. And then we also have some 3x3 squares in the peppermint swirl, the red with white snow, and the craft with snowflake. We will have a dozen of the tag backs to reinforce your pages and finish them off. We will have 3 of the booklets that are 3.5 inches by 7 inches, scored in half. And there will be 3 1/4 square craft mats that go on top of those. Then we will have 3.5 inch black photo mat, 3.5 inch square black photo mats, and 3 1/4 inch square craft mats to go on those. Okay, then we have 3 different size booklets. Now on these, you can see, you can match these up, and it's really important to kind of get everything squared away here. I'm going to have to scoot these a little bit up further. So you'll see on here, these are scored in half, and this fits just on there with a 1/4 inch border. This one fits just on here with an 1/8 inch border. And this one, if you turn this to the side, fits right on here with an 1/8 inch border. Now, we also have 6 tags, and these will need to be cut out by hand and the hole punched. And we also have 3 black photo mats and 3 stamped large images. So in order to tell which one goes to which, so you have 1 large and we have 2 mediums. And on here we have 1 large and we have 2 mediums, and these will go on the backs. So it's important to go ahead and keep these all grouped together so that you know what goes where before you start gluing anything down. So go ahead and organize and make sure you have the right pieces that are fitting on the right pieces so that we don't need any do-overs. So keep these, you keep your stamped images and your crafts matched up with the pieces that they go to. It's kind of important. So let's go ahead and set those aside in groups. And we will put these together. And over here, and so we have all of our stuff, and this starts taking up a little bit of room, but it's important to make sure that you have all the pieces that you're supposed to have and that you know exactly where they go, or at least in general where they go. So okay, so what we're going to do here is I've already these already have their pattern paper on here, and they already have their craft on the back. Like I said, I don't recommend that you do your craft on the back just yet. I recommend we do that as we go along. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to, let's see here. I think we're going to start off with, how did we put these in here? I think it was like this. Okay, so I think this is the order that they were in the book, and so we're going to do the flap on this one. I'm going to put them in an order like this. And you will see which ones go where as we go along. Okay, so these will be, these 3, you might not be able to see that, it's a little bit off camera, but we have the black and white plaid, the black with the star, and the craft with the red and white trees. We're going to attach these, our stamped, our large stamped areas with photo mats. Those are going to go with those 3. And then these lower pockets are going to go with, I believe, these 3. And we're going to put, let's see, we're going to put the booklets with these three, and we're going to put the photo mats with these three, and these each get one of each of these three photo mats. Okay, so we're going to group those together. So we have our bottom pockets here. We have our double photo mats on this grouping here. And we have our interactive flip out booklets on this section. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to keep these grouped together, and we're going to work on them together. Now, if you're not working on the hot cocoa, all of these still go together just the same. That's why I went over the order before, so that you would know when we're working on a separate section, which three photo mats you need to pull out. So, when you're pulling these aside, these ones that I just took away, go ahead and, I'm picking up some stragglers. Go ahead and pick up these pieces that we matched up with their little booklets. Let's go ahead and put all these together because these all go together. And then we have our double photo mats. We're going to do those second. Let's go ahead and take our large stamped areas, and we're going to do those actually third. And these are the ones we're going to work on first. So let me make sure. Okay, so those have, okay, I'm going to have to swap that one out. Okay, I'm going to have to swap this one out. And I'll tell you why, is because this one has the craft on the back, and I can't have that on the back. So I have to swap those out. So go ahead and you don't have to make that correction. I do, because it has a craft on the back, and I will have to hide that brad from the back. So this one will be going in here in its place. So, see, there is why. See, I make all the mistakes, so you don't have to. So this one, you can absolutely use this one in place of this snowman, which is what I originally intended to do, but I had to make a modification because I made a boo-boo on another project, the other pieces to this. So, slight modification on my part. You can follow along if you want, or you can go with my original idea. So on these, what we're going to do is, there's also, I also forgot to tell you, there's also in your pack, there should be a piece of kind of hairy jute. Okay, we're back again. Had to help Connor. So we have our 24-inch piece of our kind of jute twine. And what we're going to do is we're going to match up our ends. And we are going to cut it in half. And we want 6 pieces out of here. So basically, you can measure out 4-inch pieces, or you can just kind of find the thirds. Again, this does not have to be exact. It just has to be kind of close. And so on here, I can kind of figure out about 3 equal pieces there. Or I can put it here on my mat and I can measure it out, and this is right at 12, so I can figure 1 at 4 inches, and then I can use that 4-inch piece as a guide to snip. So we should have 6 4-inch pieces, and then on these, if you purchase the kit, these will already be done for you. This is a 1-inch scallop. And I've probably already done this for you, but just in case, and if you're following this and doing it yourself, so you know. So I'm adding a little bit of glue, and I'm gluing 2 of the pieces together, and this is to just add kind of reinforcement. It's just adding some thickness to these pieces. And so we've got 6 of these. 1-inch scallops, and I'm gluing 2 of them together, so we'll have a total of 3. And then I'm going to take my, if I can get in here, I'm going to use my crocodile. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little mark on here. And I want it to be on the bottom third-ish. And I'm just making a general mark. Okay, so this is about where we're at. So somewhere right around there, and then I can just find it in the hole. When you lift up the latch, you can see exactly where you're punching. Again, this has probably already been done for you if you purchased the kit. But it's important for you guys to see how I got to that point. Okay, so get the little extras off of there. So on these, I went ahead and I used the Gathered Twigs, Distressed Ink, Gathered Twigs. And that's what I inked everything up with on all 3 of these kits because it's my new favorite. So I did a little bit of the edges, and I'm just doing a little bit of the top as well. So you can see what I did here. Let me show you before and after. So that's what I'm looking for. And on this one, we're going to do a little heavier on the sides. And we only need to do one side. And just a little bit on the tops. And it kind of gives it that leather look. Craft is so very easy to make it look like leather. It's just almost effortless. So there you go. And we're going to put that up here and get rid of my inky fingers. Or at least the majority of it so it doesn't rub off where I don't want it. Gotta have your wet wipes close with ink. Now what we're going to do is let's go ahead and take, I'm using my Teflon bone folder. So I'm going to fold these in half, and as I always say through all my videos, you always want to square your page up with itself. Don't assume that the score is perfect. The score, the closest I can get the score is within 1/8 of an inch, which is, in my opinion, not close enough. I wish that I had more options, but always square your page up with itself and only use that score line as a guide. It's just to get the paper started folding in that direction. Don't just automatically fold on that score line. You always want to square it up with your bottom corners first. So on these, on our craft piece, we're going to take and we're going to ink the edges if you like. You don't have to do this. You can take what you want and leave the rest. And I'm just going to add a tiny bead of glue, but just on the outer edges. I'm not going to do the inside edges. And I'm going to center this. It doesn't matter which direction anything's in. Like I said, at this point, it's non-directional. And these are also non-directional. So I think I'm going to go ahead and ink these just very, very lightly. Okay, we're back again. So we're going to add, again, we're adding glue just to the edges here. And it doesn't matter at this point. Again, these are non-directional, so it doesn't matter. But if they were directional, you want to make sure your booklet opens this way. So let's go ahead and do these kind of assembly style. And again, we're squaring it up. with the edge, matching up our corners. And every once in a while, the paper is soft, and you get a little bit of an edge on here, which you might not even be able to see it, but it's just ever so slightly rough right there. And I do my absolute best to make sure that I give you the absolute crispest cuts that I can. But you'll run into this as well. So basically, if you just take your scissors and you just kind of drag them along that edge, it'll get rid of any of that roughness. Quick little tip. So you can clean out those edges very, very quickly. So on this, we're going to ink them. And again, this one had a little bit of a rough edge. I'm just going to drag my blade right up there. Super easy to do. You know, often with mine doesn't need replacement blades. It is self-sharpening, but often people are using ones that are not industrial cutters, and they do require new blades. And when your blade starts to go, you start getting a little bit of that, and you can, you know, stretch the length of using that same blade for a little while if you just, you know, trim it off here and there and just kind of clean up the edges. You can go a little bit longer between buying replacement blades, which will save you a little money and time heading off to the store. So let's see, I want this one this way. It's not actually directional. Oop, I put glue on the whole thing. It doesn't matter. You can put it on the whole thing. It's not necessary, but it doesn't hurt either. Okay, so we're on our third. And these are all inked up, ready to go. And we're just leaving an 1/8 of an inch border. This one needs a better crease. You want these booklets nice and flat. All right, so now we have our 3 booklets ready, and we have the 3 areas of the 3 tags that we want to put those on. And I definitely don't want to put the black on the black. I would like the black on probably this one, and I would like red on this one. And let's see if I like that. Really kind of like the red on that one. And I think I like this order the best for me. Again, I do want to make sure what side is up. So basically, when I glue these down, you can see it opens this way. Okay, so I want to turn it, and I want to flip it all the way over to the back. And I do find that it helps my students if we mark where we're going to apply our glue, so there's no guesswork. So with this turned directly over, I am going to make this a top loading. So I'm going to have my glue on the other 3 sides. Okay, that is not showing up. It's not a great pen. If I can find my good one, that would be wonderful. But I might not be able to. Let's go ahead and just try one of these old jelly rolls. Okay, so basically, and that's still not working. Let's see here. These are just not working. Okay, so I guess you can see it kind of. Okay, so this is the way it opens up here. And then we flip it over to the back, and we're going to have it go down both sides and on the bottom. That way it's a top-loading pocket, just like that. And we're going to do that. If you want to take away some of the guesswork, go ahead and draw these on there, hopefully with a pen that you can actually see better than mine. And we're just going to add a bead of glue, and we're going to stay about 1/8 of an inch from the side because the glue spreads. So we've got glue on 3 sides. I always put my finger on the top, whatever the opening side is. I'm going to center it left and right, which is about 1 inch, and we're going to come about 1/2 inch down. Now you can center it on your mat if you like, but for the most part it's just by your eye. So there we have. This is right side up, and it opens this way, and we have created a pocket on the top. So what we have to do now is we're going to take one of our tags, and we're going to cut along this outer edge. If you can see on here, there are 3 lines. We're going to cut on this 3rd one. We're just going to cut right through it. Now, I do my very best to stamp a clean image, but I am not a card maker. And I do use archival ink, so it is water resistant or waterproof, if you will. So if you wanted to color them in, these are not going to fade or bleed. And I do my best to give you a crisp, clean image, but that doesn't always happen. And I would, in order to reduce waste, if it's a pretty good image, then I'm going to let it pass. If you are very particular about your stamped images, you can absolutely, and I'm going to make it to where you can request that you just get the plain paper and you can stamp your own images, because I know some people are very particular about it, but I do the best I can, but I know it's not perfect, so I just want to offer that up to you guys. Okay, so I'm going to use my crocodile to punch these holes. You can use whatever you have. So the easiest way to do this, you can guess, but it's easier to do kind of like we did before. We're just going to put a dot right in the center. Let me show you that. The easiest way to make sure that you're doing that, centering the punch, is to put a little black dot, and I am using the 3/16 side, and I'm just going to center it in there, just like so. If you can see that. There we go. And we're just going to punch it through. So we have that. Then we're going to take one of our 4-inch-ish pieces of twine. Okay, I've got 2 edges put together here, making a loop. And I'm going to feed those 2 edges through the back. And then I have my loop on the back. I'm going to push through my 2 tails and just give a little tug. And see, this is why we didn't need to make sure that they were exactly the same size, because these are going to be trimmed off. So just like that. Now, what I also like to do, because these things will try to come undone, you're going to want to put a tiny bit of glue there and give a little pull in order to make sure that that does not come undone. And it also will help those little guys spread apart. And you can just give it a haircut. Okay, so that little tag is ready, and you saw I inked both sides there, and that will go in our top, and it'll stick out just a tiny bit. Now, it doesn't matter that the fibers are taller than that 1/8 of an inch, because those will fold over when we close the top. Those will not interfere. So really, we're only going over by maybe, definitely not even 1/8 of an inch. So we're good on that. Next, we're going to take one of these. Now, it doesn't matter whether these little holes popped out or not. You can pop them out if you want. Doesn't matter. Whatever you prefer, because those are going to get covered up by our cute little snowflakes. If you like, you don't have to use the snowflakes for this, but they will be in your kits. So in order to glue these down, I just do a little circle around those holes and 3 little strips. Then I kind of hover, and I try to do about equal distance, whatever looks good to the eye. So we have equal distance here, and it's a little larger down here than up here, but I'm good with that. I'm happy with that. So you can shift it around just a smidge. Okay, so that's on there. Next, we want to take these little scallops, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it about in the center with the tag turned to the side. We're going to put about in the center, and we don't want it to touch. We want there to be a little bit of a space there, okay, when we mark this. So I will, on this set though, you will have an extra sheet in here that has some cut-aparts. And let me show you what those are. So this collection, specifically this hot cocoa collection, has a cut-apart sheet in the 6x6, and they do not come cut apart. You have to do that yourself. But it comes with these 3 tiny little tags, and I really want to use these in place of this, and so I'm wondering if I put it right here, if it will spin. Let's see if it's right there, and it's about 1/4 inch out. I think it'll just work. So what I'm going to do here, and we're going to go ahead and test it out. Make sure, see, this is why we're going to go through this. We want to make sure that craft is not on the black. So I'm going to go ahead and take a scratch piece, and I'm going to ink them up because this needs to be much thicker than it is, and I'm going to glue it down. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a little test to see if this will work. So I'm going to come right up to the edge with this and cut it out. And this is just because the single thickness of the pattern paper is not enough in order to use it for how we want to use it. So let's go ahead and punch our hole. That's kind of large. Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's what we've done. We've added black to the back, so it's a little more sturdy. And let's go ahead, and it would need to be right there, and we have to make sure that the clearance works. Okay, so on this tag it's slightly different than if you're doing any other collection, so I'm going to center this up and down. I'm going to go ahead and test this out with a pencil, mechanical pencil, and it looks like it just clears. It's just a little bit overlapping. It cannot, when it's completely opened up, it can't come further out than this. Okay, so this further one out. So what we're going to have to do is trim it off. So I'm going to trim a little bit here, and I'm taking off about 1/16 of an inch off of both sides and re-inking. So you can see on here, when I did my circles, you can see the one that was too close was interfering with this being able to open up. So I went for the outer one. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use, if you don't have one of these punches, then I recommend that you use, like we did before, that you use the piercing tool and the little foamy mat, because you don't want a big hole. It'll give you too much play in your brad. So I'm going to find that second hole, and I'm going to go right through the center of that. And that's as big a hole as we want. We don't want anything bigger than what this will do. I prefer to use this one because it does a slightly smaller hole, but this will work for me. Okay, so on this, we're going to go through with our brad, and we're going to test this and see if it'll work for us. So I just put that through the hole. Open it on up. And when it slides, when it swivels, okay, so when it's closed, it keeps our little booklet closed, and so it doesn't open up. If we open it up, then it releases it so we can open it. So it'll work as our closure, and so this will work just fine. That hole, again, is a little bit too large, and I don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify it. Oops, there's our brad. Okay, so I have a teeny weeny, let me get my teeny weeny punch, or better yet, you know, I can probably use this to make a couple 1/4 inch punches, and let's go ahead and get those out of there. Where are you? Okay, let's do it upside down so that we get our holes. Now it does curl them, but it's just the right size. It makes this tiny little, it punches out a 1/4 inch, so it leaves a 1/4 inch space. So in order to fix this tag, this is why I recommend watching the videos before you start crafting. So you make sure that if I make any kind of changes or alterations to it, that you see those. So basically, I'm just going to add a reinforcement to cover up that hole that I made, and to reinforce that so that I can re-punch my hole and tighten that up a bit. Alright, so I'm going to make a tiny little indication of where I want to punch. And there we go. So I just made that hole nice and small again, if you can see that. Okay, so I made that nice and small, so let's go ahead and use our brad again if I can find it. Close that up, get rid of that. Here we go, here's our brad. So we're going to go through a much smaller hole, so it won't have as much wiggle. It would still work the other way. I just think that this is better, and I think it's worth the couple extra minutes that it takes to make it as close to perfect as possible. So I've got this brad on here nice and tight. Okay, and then this swivels, and our booklet opens, and then it'll swivel back and close up. And so I like this a lot. So what I'm going to do on these next two is I'm just going to freehand it, and I'm going to chop off about 1/8 of an inch off of both sides. And I'm going to glue it to a piece of our scrap black paper, which I'm sure everybody has. I'm going to put it right in the corner. I'm going to do the same thing with our third. And I'm also going to show those who have a different paper collection how to do this as well without these cut-aparts. And that's where those scallops come in. Of course, if you have the hot cocoa collection kit, and you would prefer to use these scallops, you may. you may still do that. So we're just going to cut these out super quick. All right, got a little bit of a mess going on here. All right, we gotta get rid of some of this. We don't need that anymore. And put that over there. All right. So, excuse me. Oh, and then this one says back on it. Well, you won't be able to see it. Well, but now I have to cover it up because I know it's there. Oh no. Okay, so we're going to glue this one down twice, I guess. Isn't that funny? It's just going to be even more reinforced. I told you they were scraps. Actually, that's a misscored pocket from a Flip It kit. I always keep all of those as scraps, and I always find a way to use them. Okay, so again, I've kind of sketched where I want to punch that hole. And there's that one. I want to ink it up. And when you layer on, you know, a couple pieces of thick cardstock on the back, it almost makes it like a piece of lightweight chipboard, which is just layers of cardstock, layers of paper. Okay, so again, 3 sides. The opening goes up top because we're top loading. We're going to drop it, we're going to center it and drop it down about a 1/2 inch. Which looks pretty even to me. Okay, and so this one is going to go, let's see, let's take this all the way to the edge. There. And we're going to use our pencil and draw our little line. Make sure that when it goes, or draw a little mark. When we put it on here, we make sure that once it's lined up, that this opens freely. And it does. So we're going to punch that hole. See, look how tiny that is. It's just the perfect size for a brad. Perfect. I love that punch. I use it all the time. Okay, I don't want that one on there though. Maybe I do want that one on there. Yeah, I want this gingerbread man over here. Okay. So again, we're going to open this up in the back. And so then it's going to swivel out of the way, and there we go. We tested it, and it's working just fine. Get it nice and tight. Okay, and then we're going to use another one of these. Now, you only need 10 of these as I use them in the kits, but I've added 2 extras. There are also 1 extra large snowflake and 2 extra small ones, just in case 1 or 2 get away from you while you're crafting. Okay, so there's that one. How cute is that? So now on these, we can go ahead, and speaking of the snowflakes, let me go ahead and show you how we add those. Okay, so we've got 4 larges. One is an extra. So I'm going to use you can use glossy accents, or you can use the Crystal 3D lacquer. And I'm just going to put a nice little bead of glossy in there. And let me show you see, I'm just about filling the hole. If it will focus, I'm just about filling the hole. Come over to this one. There you go. And then I'm going to put I'm just going to place my snowflake right on there. Kind of half in, half out of that little notch. Give it a little pressure. You got to give the glossy a little longer to dry than the quick dry. Got to give it at least a couple minutes, but look at how cute that is. Aren't those just so adorable? Little snowflake rhinestones, super, super cute. So there's our interactive tag, and you can do some journaling or pictures. And of course now we have to cut another one. If you have long shears, use the longest bladed scissors that you have to do this, and it will help you get the longest, straightest cut. And I don't really worry about being too perfect on this one because we ink the edges, so you don't even see the exacts on here. So on the back, and you can go as light or as heavy as you want with your ink, depending on how kind of rustic you would like it to look. Okay, let's get rid of some of these tools. And we're going to put that over there. We're going to use our crocodile, the 3/16. Again, let's go ahead and make our mark. And give it a punch. And we'll add some twine. Feed it through the back. And there we go. Let's add a tiny bit of glue so that we can lock those in place. You don't want to pull too hard because it'll rip that right out of there, right out that hole. If that does happen, you could just add a hole reinforcer to both sides, kind of like what I did to repair this one. It would just be slightly larger, and you can fix that, so not to worry. So again, this one goes back and behind. So even when it's in there, it's still back behind the whole thing, which is why we did glue on these 3 sides and left this one open. So this can go in and out of here. This goes here, and that goes there. So that's how that works. And I did want to show you, now if you don't have this paper collection and you are going to use the scallops, you would do it in exactly the same way. Let me go ahead and add my glue. So we're going to glue this down. Again, with the glue, we've got a little bit of wiggle room to shift it around and get it just where we want it. And that looks good to me. Let's go ahead and add one of these. I don't always do these in the same order. That one's not coming out easy. Not that you have to take them out. they end up getting covered up with the snowflake anyways. And I don't know if I said it before, but there are 2 extra of these as well. So if you have issues with a couple, not to worry, you got some backups. And this is from a Spellbinders die. But you could cut it out on your, something very similar, I'm sure, on your Cricut or Cameo. Okay, so that goes there. Looks good to me. Okay, so over here, instead of doing one of the tags, we would do the same thing. We would find the center, and we would draw our circle. We would make sure that when we line this up, that this could open completely. Now you see where that circle is? We're putting that all the way on the inside, as close as it's ever going to get. So then we would punch our hole right there and install this just where that goes. But again, on this one, I want to use the cut apart since we have them. And so here we go. Draw our little circle. Give it a punch. Okay, and we're going to line this one up. Top and bottom, we're getting equal spacing here. And it looks like I want it right about here. And I'm going to double check that spacing to make sure this is completely clear, which it is. We're going to punch that. And I am not sure where our third brad went, but I will go ahead and grab another, and I'm using copper ones on this one. I'm sure I'll find it. And when I do, I'll just put it back into the box. And so this goes back through here. Now these first 3, I do recommend doing these first 3 first. And I did not ink that, and that's going to bother me. So I'm going to pull it out. Okay. Again, one more time. Okay. All right. So that little guy goes in there. And I can add my brads at a later time. On this one, so on the back here, I want to turn my brad. I always turn my brads, vertical so they don't stick out. So I've got these on here, and I'm going to turn them all this way. Looking at the backs here. And I'm going to go ahead and on the very tips of each one of those brads to kind of lock them in place so they don't spin around. Which is not a critical thing. It's just something, it's kind of a finishing touch that I like to do so that the brad isn't spinning. It's the tag that is spinning around the brad. It just kind of locks it in there. Again, I don't want to go in the center. I don't want this to bleed through to the tag, through that hole. I just want to stay on the edges there, you see. So I'm just adding a tiny bit there. And what we're going to do now, and this would hold true even if you're using the scallops because you're still using the small brads. You can use larger brads if you want, excuse me. But don't get too gigantic with them. I think, for example, I think these brads down here might be a little excessive. These might be a little big. These are the ones we're using. These might be just a little bit big. But you could use them if you needed to. You just have to make sure on those, you really have to make sure you're vertical. Otherwise, it's going to be sticking out of the side past the edge of your paper. So if you're using those big ones, make sure you're vertical with them on the back. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut a few little pieces of score tape and stick these down right on top. And this is basically going to hold everything in place while the glossy accents has a chance to, or 3D lacquer has a chance to dry. So these pieces I'm cutting are, you know, they're not quite 3/4 of an inch long, about 5/8 actually. Okay, so I'm going to peel the backing off of these. You can use your craft knife if you find it difficult to get the backing off of these. And I'm just going to kind of trace the edges to make sure that it's as close to the brad as I can get it. Okay, so there's that. And now we can add our backs. So I've got 3 pieces right here, and you can punch through this 3 at a time. I'm doing the 1/2 inch, and I'm using my corner chomper. You can use any rounder that you like. That's why these are not done, is because, you know, you want to make sure your pattern paper and your tags all match the same angle. Just because it says a 1/2 inch on one brand doesn't mean that it's going to match up perfectly as a 1/2 inch with another brand. And that just is the way it is. It's just like shoe sizes, and well, shoe sizes are a little more universal, but like clothing sizes, you know, not every size 6 is the same size. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to do the same thing as we did before. I'm going to do the combination. So we're going to do a little dry adhesive in the center, and we're going to do some wet glue along the edges for a more permanent. And this is not interactive, so this part, so I am not worried about the stress, and it's being finished off with glue, so that's permanent. Right on the edges where it matters the most, because that's where it would start peeling up. Okay, and so there is a completed tag, and this is one of the ones, one of the 3 that are made with the opening booklet style with the top-loading back. So let's go ahead, and I would do these 2 the same way, but I'm going to put those aside, and you can go ahead and get caught up with that, and then we're going to, in the next video, we're going to move on to our next page design, page 2 of the 4 different page designs. So we will see you back here shortly.